Konnichiwa, watashi wa Staecha desu. Welcome to my channel. Yeah, yeah. 1, 2, 3, go! Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on the link as usual. Before we get into the video, I wanted to clarify a few things that you might have noticed. The first thing is that if you have been watching my previous videos, except the last one that I had posted, you would notice that there might be some changes in terms of the audio for the beginning of the video that might be missing. I had to remove that because of copyright issues. So I apologize for that. Also, I wanted to address the fact that my channel has a name change, and I had to do so because I realized that it was difficult for myself and others to find my YouTube page when they went into the search engine. And so I thought that in order to make my channel more accessible and easier to find, that it would have been more prudent if I went ahead and changed the name. But my my Instagram name is still at Namaste. That will be here. So for the purposes of accessibility, I can't ever speak. I've decided to change the name to Staecha G, which is much easier to find. Okay, so let's get into the video. Okay, so this video, as you can see by the title, it's going to essentially be part 2 of things you might not know if you have not been to Japan, or things you should know if you're coming to Japan, whether it be in the capacity as a teacher or a worker, or if it's going to be as a tourist. So let's start with number one. Of course, I have written down my point, so let's get into it. Number 1, if you're in Japan and you have gone to a place where service was given, for example a restaurant or stuff like that, please do not tip. In Japan, I think it's kind of an insult to tip, and if you give them any extra, please believe that the minute that they realize that you have given them extra cash, they will be running you down. They're going to be chasing you because they're going to want to give you the extra cash that you have given to them. I think it's a cultural thing. Well, clearly it's a cultural thing, but I'm not sure exactly why they don't accept tips. They will accept a table charge. It's sometimes a fixed fee per person. For example, I went to a restaurant and we both had to pay, I think, 300 yen per person. So they will have that charge there. But in terms of you going out of your way to provide additional cash to the person who served you, that's a no. Don't tip them. It's something that's kind of weird, especially if you're coming from the western end of the world where you're used to tipping. It just seemed odd not to tip. But in Japan, you don't tip. Okay. Number 2, and I think I touched on this before in part 1, but I wanted to get more in depth with it. Finding clothes and shoes in Japan is very hard unless you fit within the size or the fitting of a regular Asian person or a Japanese person. So finding clothing and shoes especially, it's so hard. No, on a regular I'm a size small or medium. I go between both. But the sizing here is completely different because I'm not an Asian small or medium. Sometimes I am an Asian large or extra large, sometimes extra large. So if you are any bigger than I am, you're going to probably find it very difficult to find clothing here. Even in stores that you're accustomed to, H&M and those stores, it's going to be challenging to find stuff because obviously they're catering to the market that's over here, and the regular Asian person, the regular Japanese person, they're pretty small in stature. So they're usually short and very petite. So it's very hard to find things. And then to make matters worse, I'm taller than the average Japanese person. And so that makes it more difficult for me to find clothing when it comes on to things like coats, long sleeve. So sometimes the sleeve might be shorter than I want. And I definitely can't buy pants if I'm looking for something that's going to be extremely long. But to be very fair, even when I lived in Jamaica, that was a challenge. So I don't expect that I would have flown, that I would have um, gotten here, and that would have been something that would have been different in terms of me being able to find it. So that's something to look into. So if you're moving here, I would suggest that you buy the shoes that you need. If you're size 9 and over, uh, buy the shoes that you need before you get here, because it's going to be extremely difficult to find sizing for you. And usually the cute sizes don't run any larger than an 8.5 US. So if you're looking to move here, please carry the essentials that you need. I usually shop on Fashion Nova and places like that when it comes down to clothing, but they don't always have shoes that are work ready. So bear that in mind. Okay, number 3. So I think we're gradually heating up, and I think this is something persons might have already. Why can't I ever speak? I think this is something that persons may already know, but I think it's still worth mentioning. In Japan, the whole idea of tattoos and things of that nature, anything that marks on the body, so tattoos are seen as a taboo. They're associated and they're seen as being a part or affiliated with the gangs or anything of that nature. So be prepared if you have excessive tattoos, if it's not something that can be covered with a long sleeve shirt or pants, or it's on your face or on your neck. Be prepared for be prepared for the stares that's definitely going to be coming your way, because that is something that is seen as being affiliated with gangs and stuff of that and things of that nature. And of course, you know that Japan is basically a crime-free country, so people are going to stare, and you'll probably be, I don't want to assume, but you'll probably be stopped by the police a few times, maybe. Might not happen, but be prepared for that mentally. Okay, so number 4, and this kind of ties in back to what I was saying a while ago. If you are a visitor or if you are a resident, always ensure that you have some sort of ID on you at all times. In Japan, this might be something that's not completely unfamiliar to persons. In Japan, the police can stop you at any given time, and they have the right to ask for an ID. And if you don't have an ID, that can create some problem. I know that it is illegal if you, especially if you're a resident. I'm not sure about tourists. If you don't have an ID on you, it is actually legal. So even if you're just going to the shop, which is 5 minutes away, you need to have that on you. So please be sure to carry your ID with you. If you're a tourist, naturally you would take along with you your passport. If you're a resident, then it would mean that you would have your resident card with you at all times. One of the things you have to know, and like I said, this might not be too unfamiliar, the fact that they can stop you just based on how you look. So even if you just look suspicious, they have the right to stop you and to demand identification and things of that nature. So just to ensure that you aren't in any unnecessary incident or situation, just ensure that you have it and cooperate to the best of your ability. If your Japanese is any good, that will help, because not a lot of Japanese know English. That's not something people talk about, but that's something that you need to know. And I guess that is also something that you need to know. Brush up on your Japanese, because that's something that will help you. I've had to learn a little more Japanese because not a lot of Japanese know English, and some of them do know English, but they're just not comfortable using the language. So I guess it's best if you're in Rome to try and meet the Romans halfway. I'm just saying. Okay, let's get into number 5. This video is ending pretty quickly. Number 5 already. Okay, let's get into it. So of all the things I just mentioned, I want to note that this one, in this video at least, is the most perplexing one. Are you ready? Sure you're ready? Sure you're ready for this one? Okay. In Japan, hospitals aren't open 24/7.
Oh, hell no!
Did you hear me? Hospitals aren't open 24/7. In fact, the closest hospital to me, they aren't open on a Sunday. In fact, they aren't open until late in the night. So it's pretty strange to me that I'm living in a first world country and I don't have 24-hour access 7 days a week to 24/7 access to medical care. It's kind of strange. So if I were to get sick on a Sunday, what do I do? Someone in Japan, please comment below, because I'm not sure. What do I do if I'm sick? And I'm not talking about the flu or something of that nature. I'm talking about like sick, or what exactly do I do? Because hospitals aren't, well, the hospital close to me is not open on a Sunday, and they have opening and closing hours. So what do I do? I don't understand. People get sick around the clock, I would imagine. Or is it that Japanese people don't get sick on Sundays? Someone need to explain that one to me. I'm not sure. Okay, guys. So I've come to the end of the video. I feel so strange ending the video so soon. It's probably one of the shortest videos I've had since I've started talking on here, but I want to thank those who have been supporting me. I've only posted, this is going to be like my 5th video, and I'm already close to 100 subscribers. I would appreciate it if I could get as close to 500 subscribers between now and January. And I promise if we get to 500 subscribers, I will get into the long-awaited story about why I left Jamaica, and I promise that one will be worth it. So go ahead, like, share, subscribe, and please, thank you in advance, turn on your notification bell below, so that you can be notified if and when I post a video. So thank you so much for watching. See you next. I can't sing, so why am I singing? Somebody please tell me. Okay, guys.